Hi, you guys. Welcome back to the Amani Talks podcast. You're here with your host, Amani, on the podcast where we discuss our Christian-based topics and deepening our relationship with the Lord. And of course, we are continuing on in our A Proverb a Day series, you guys. We are on day 7. So we've been doing this for a whole week. And besides July 4th, when I had that hiccup the next day, we have been recording every single day. And I just love that for us. I love that we were like, okay, we're going to do this series together and we're actually doing it. Like, are you kidding me? And you know what's crazy? I actually have not really minded having to get up like early in the morning to do this, which is crazy because I like my sleep. I need my 8 hours, okay? I cannot function when it comes to my beauty rest on anything less than like 7 or 8 hours, but I have been up doing this and I've been like, yeah, like let's get up and do our little proverb a day. So I hope you guys have been enjoying it. If you have been here since day 1, drop a little comment in the comments, okay? So for anyone that is new here, we are doing a proverb a day challenge. We are on Proverb 7 today, and what we do is read through the whole chapter. We highlight a key verse that resonates with us and a portion of the chapter that we really like. I also encourage people to drop their key verses, their portion of scripture that they really like in the comments. And yeah, we just kind of talk about it. We just kind of apply it to our life, take some practical wisdom for the day, some application, and we start off our day with a word, a quick word. All right, so let's get into the reading. My son, keep my words and treasure my commands within you. Keep my commands and live, and my law as the apple of your eye. Bind them on your fingers, write them on the tablet of your heart. Say to wisdom, you are my sister, and call understanding your nearest kin, that they may keep you from the immoral woman, from the seductress who flatters with her words. For at the window of my house I looked through my lattice, and saw among the simple, I perceived among the youths a young man devoid of understanding, passing along the street near her corner. And he took the path to her house, in the twilight, in the evening, in the black and dark night. And there was a woman met him, with the attire of a harlot and a crafty heart. She was loud and rebellious, her feet would not stay at home. At times she was outside, at times in the open square, lurking at every corner. So she caught him and kissed him. With an impudent face she said to him, I have peace offerings with me. Today I have paid my vows. So I came out to meet you, diligently to seek your face, and I have found you. I have spread my bed with tapestry, colored coverings of Egyptian linen. I have perfumed my bed with myrrh, aloes, and cinnamon. Come, let us take our fill of love until morning. Let us delight ourselves with love, for my husband is not at home. He has gone on a long journey. He has taken a bag of money with him, and he will come home on the appointed day. With her enticing speech, she caused him to yield. With her flattering lips, she seduced him. Immediately he went after her, as an ox goes to the slaughter, or as a fool to the correction of the stocks, till an arrow struck his liver. As a bird hastens to the snare, he did not know it would cost his life. Now therefore, listen to me, my children. Pay attention to the words of my mouth. Do not let your heart turn aside to her ways. Do not stray into her paths. For she has cast down many wounded, and all who were slain by her were strong men. Her house is the way to hell, descending to the chambers of death. So that's chapter 7. And we talked in the last episode a little about how 5, 6, and 7 all deal with adultery, which is very funny, coming from Solomon, the famous womanizer, the famous guy with 700 plus wives. And we all know that ended up being to his detriment. So he's warning against it. He is really commanding men. He talked about in chapter 6, stay with the wife of your youth, or maybe that was chapter 5. So he's dedicated a few chapters to warning men against falling into the trap of adultery, being with a woman that is not your wife. All her roads lead to destruction. You will end up regretting it. The key verse for me, I think, is verse 26. For she has cast down many wounded, and all who were slain by her were strong men. I like how Solomon emphasizes that they were strong men. Sometimes when we're dealing with sin, we tend to think only the weak Christians fall for certain sin. Oh, that couldn't be me. That's what we say sometimes, right? That's our attitude when we find out that someone's been cheating on their wife. What? That can never be me. When we find out that someone has been stealing from the church treasury, like, oh my gosh, like that can never be me. We tend to think of ourselves as strong when we refrain from certain sins, certain public sin. And adultery is more of a public sin, right? It involves multiple people. You can easily get caught. It's easily something that can have you out here looking crazy. It's easy to get proof for it. Like 9 times out of 10, you always get caught. It's just one of those things that it's very easy to prove that, oh, someone is living a sinful lifestyle. We tend to look at people like, why can't you just be stronger? Stay away from that sin. But Solomon is saying even strong men fall to this. So we should never have a puffed up sense of self when we feel like we have conquered a certain sin. I see a lot of people making videos about, oh, I felt like I conquered lust and then I fell to it. But here's the thing, specifically when it comes to lust, and I think adultery falls into that category, that's a sin that specifically the Bible tells us to flee from. It does not tell us to fight against it. It does not tell us that we can overcome it, that we're strong. It says to flee from sexual immorality. 1 Corinthians 6:18 says, flee sexual immorality. Every sin that a man does is outside the body, but he who commits sexual immorality sins against his own body. Lust is one of those sins that we as humans, I think we will always struggle with unless we make up our minds to intentionally flee from it. I, as a single woman, have made up my mind that I'm not just going to avoid sex. I'm going to avoid anything that leads up to the sex. I'm going to make up my mind to have very strong barriers with men so that I don't even get caught up, because we talked a little bit in a previous episode about it's very rarely that when you're walking in darkness that it's one thing that led you to stumble. It's a culmination of things. It's one thing, then another, then another. It's a snowball effect. Sin is very commonly a snowball effect. It doesn't just start with you doing one thing and then, oh, here I go again. You are led by your own temptations, and then that leads you to sin. So when I think about applying this to my own life, about how Solomon is saying strong men fall for this, I have to understand I am not going to be bigger than the program. I am not going to be better than the other humans that have lived centuries and centuries and centuries before me. I can't think that I'm better just because I've been, without sex for a couple years and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm good. I need to be overly aggressive against my sin. And if you are not being overly aggressive with your sin in the way that you have certain boundaries, certain things that you will just not do because you don't even want that first step of temptation to occur. When you have a mindset like that, when your mind is made up in that way, then that's a form of you fleeing. Don't just flee from the sin, flee from the temptation, because that's where sin starts. James 1:14 through 15 says, but each one is tempted when he is drawn away by his own desires and enticed. Then when desire has conceived, it gives birth to sin, and sin, when it is full grown, brings forth death. So it's not just you falling into sin. You first had that desire brought some temptation, that temptation, aroused the sin. So it's a little bit of a process when it comes to sin. And just like James said in that scripture where it says that, your sin when full grown leads to death, Solomon says the same thing. Verse 27, the last verse of chapter 7, her house is the way to hell, descending to the chambers of death. Women can also learn a lot from this, because it seems to me like the theme overall is just not falling to sexual temptation, not falling to any kind of adultery, not falling to any kind of sexual immorality, which is so prevalent in our world. I mean, it's everywhere that you look, every TV show, every song, every clothing advertisement, every IG post, it has some kind of sexual enticing nature. Right now, the popular thing is the show Love Island. I've never watched Love Island because I think that the dating shows are just kind of cringy. The shows that I have watched that I enjoy are like Married at First Sight or Love is Blind, when the goal is actually marriage. And even those shows can get really bad. Like, I'm just kind of like, man, these shows are horrible sometimes. But just the flat out dating shows, when you can obviously see it's just sex on the table, I've never really enjoyed those. But especially I've heard that this season, I've seen people talking about it on TikTok. They say that this season is like especially like freaked out. They're like, nah, like Love Island has always been sexual, but this season is crazy. So, and that just goes to show that sin never decreases, it always increases. And while Love Island has always been a sexually tempting show. They have spinoffs like Temptation Island, all that kind of stuff. It only gets worse from here. Like it never draws back. It always explodes. It always gets worse and worse. And now they're saying, man, this season is like really bad. Even I don't want to watch this season. For a lot of people, instead of getting their daily dose of wisdom, they're getting their daily dose of lust. They're getting their daily dose of affirming that sex before marriage is okay. It's fun. There is no harm in it. There is no danger in it. You have sex before marriage, you can be on TV. Who doesn't want to be on TV? But when we set our minds against lust, against sexual immorality, when we have these strong boundaries, things that we will not do under any circumstances, things that we will not bend on, that's where wisdom and understanding comes in. And we all know that Proverbs is the book of wisdom. It's trying to get you to steward your life well, lead your life well. It has a lot of warnings, a lot of exhortations, a lot of encouragement, a lot of things that you can do, you should do, a lot of promises when it comes to what you should be doing as a Christian. And I think when it comes to chapters like chapter 7, that really just talks about sexual immorality and adultery, you have to appreciate it because today's world is so full of it. It's just so full of it. It's like, is no one concerned about their health? I think that alone would be a deterrent. When we see the STD and HIV cases rising, when we see articles talking about how Houston is like an HIV epidemic right now, it's like, and you still out here having sex? Like but there's no judgment. It's just kind of like, man, get your mind right. For real, like get your daily dose of wisdom from the Bible. Stop looking at the TV. Stop looking at other people. Stop looking at social media when it comes to you trying to build your life the right way. Because everything else outside of the Bible, when it comes to us learning how we should be stewarding our lives, just leads to sin, which leads to death. Everything else. So that was Proverbs 7 on our 7th day of a Proverb a Day challenge. I hope you guys have learned something and enjoyed it. I will see you guys tomorrow for chapter 8. And yeah, have a great start to your week. Be productive, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.